Greetings and salutations, everybody. My name is Angie Kirchhoff, and welcome to my YouTube channel. Today, we're going to be talking about the Week 4 waiver wire targets. I'm also going to be going over Week 3's standouts of the week, who performed out of their mind, who performed into the garbage can, and who I think you should be targeting, again, for Week 4 of the regular season. This week, the Panthers and the Redskins both have bye weeks, so it begins, right? Your teams are never going to be at full strength unless you're extremely lucky and everything works out. Otherwise, there will always be someone on your roster in a bye week. So you'll have to consider bringing people in off the bench or looking at that waiver wire in order to pick up talent and help your team win. And before we go and talk about this stuff, I want to thank everybody who subscribed. All those questions this weekend. Man, there's been a lot of stuff that went down this weekend. None of it was great. I mean, there were some good highlights here and there of NFL football, but it truly goes to show that anybody can win and that the NFL is so unpredictable. It hurts. It honestly just hurts. Hey, everybody, how's it going? Okay, so we're going to be talking about Week 3 performances at the quarterback position from a 1 through 10 standpoint in 6-point per passing touchdown leagues. So, who was number one? Matt Ryan. I mean, he's found his footing. I'll tell you that much. I honestly thought, okay, he played against the Carolina Panthers. He played well. Maybe perhaps a couple of those touchdowns that he ran in could have been rushing touchdowns, brought him down to about 3 touchdowns max. No big deal. This coming week, I didn't expect Matt Ryan to absolutely lose his mind and play like he did. Found Calvin Ridley, who we're going to talk about a little bit later, 3 times in the red zone and in the end zone. Matt Ryan has found his footing. Hopefully he continues to perform the way he should, right? Matt Ryan is, 2 years removed from being the league MVP and a guy that was 1 quarter away from winning a Super Bowl. I mean, the way I see it, hopefully he can continue on his pace. But I don't think 50 points is sustainable, obviously. But hopefully he'll be a decent top 12 quarterback going forward. Number 2, Drew Brees, another player in that matchup. Drew Brees broke a lot of records this weekend. If I'm not mistaken, he broke the record for passing completions in a career and passing yards. I think he broke both of Brett Favre's records this past weekend. Insane overtime game. Got after it. The only reason Drew Brees really didn't score as much is because, they run the ball just that much more, which isn't a lot, right? Alvin Kamara did himself a favor this weekend, 15 receptions. Whew, that offense is absolutely ridiculous. As I said before the season started, before Mark Ingram comes back, we're going to see the best Drew Brees we can possibly see. And then as soon as Mark Ingram comes back, they'll dial it down. Hopefully he continues to just tear it up. I'm just hoping he continues to tear it up. And even when Mark Ingram comes back in 2 weeks, it won't make too much of a difference, but there's always a possibility. Number 3, look at this, right? The top 3 quarterbacks for this week, okay? And I'm not counting the Monday night game. That is actually going on as I'm recording this video. I usually talk about that on a separate video, but either way, the top 3 quarterbacks from this past week are all from the NFC South. Maybe Ryan Fitzpatrick ends up figuring out, maybe get some garbage time touchdown, because last time I saw they were not doing too well. He'd thrown 3 interceptions. But anyway, Cam Newton had himself a week against Cincinnati Bengals, 2 touchdown passes, 2 rushing touchdowns, which are always, that hurts Christian McCaffrey owners that much more. But he had a great week. Number 4, Ryan Tannehill, a guy that I talked about that you should, I understand. Okay, there's a stigma around Ryan Tannehill. He's not a great quarterback, blah, blah, blah. Listen, when Ryan Tannehill was healthy 2 years ago, the Dolphins were a playoff team. Don't get it mistaken, okay? He's a great, talented player. I told you last week in this episode, the Monday episode, that perhaps you might want to look at him on the waivers because he's a good quarterback. In a 2-quarterback league, he's definitely going to play into your team. He's going to be a start. Not every week. You can play him into specific matchups, but he had a great matchup against the Oakland Raiders. He balled out. Number 4, Ryan Tannehill. Number 5, Jared Goff. As I mentioned, he was one of my starts of the week. He just torched that defense. That's how it's supposed to be done. When you're the best team in the NFL, you're supposed to go out there and you're supposed to prove it. They did that against the Chargers, plain and simple. Number 6, Patrick Mahomes. Man, speaking of breaking records, right? 13 touchdowns in 3 weeks. Ooh, man. Patrick Mahomes is deadly. Honestly, if you have to play against the Patrick Mahomes team, you have to hope and pray that the wide receivers, the running backs, the tight ends don't produce. Excuse me, because Patrick Mahomes is going to be as consistent as possible every week. And you know what the thing is? Imagine if they played against teams that actually competed with them, right? Were able to actually give them a little bit more trouble, right? In week 1, Phillip Rivers was able to score a lot. That made Patrick Mahomes have to score that much more, right? So imagine when they start to get into real competitions and real shootouts where the score is close because they keep going back and forth at each other. Anyway, Patrick Mahomes is a stud. Number 7, another person. I mean, let's have a moment of silence for the Vikings defense and the Vikings offense and the Vikings. Let's have a moment of silence real quick. Thank you. Okay, so about the Vikings, they didn't do so well, and it played right into Josh Allen's hands. I'm going to hurdle over Anthony Barr, and I'm going to stiff arm Anthony Barr, and I'm going to make him look like he's one of the worst linebackers in the NFL. Woo! I don't know what happened. I cannot explain to you. I mean, obviously turnovers, momentum, wanting it more, coming off of a tie. A stat that I noticed when I was watching the Vikings get absolutely shellacked was that any team that tied so far this season, the following week lost, right? So in week 1, the Steelers and the Browns, right? They both went into week 1 tied. Week 2, they both lost. That tie demoralized them. They came into week 2 all tilted, right? In week 2, the Packers and the Vikings both tied. In week 3, both teams lost respectively. I don't know. I think ties are way worse. I'd rather just lose so that maybe perhaps the next week, I don't know. I'm just saying. We can pick up a W. Either way, Josh Allen played out of his mind. I don't see him doing that consistently, but he showed some sparks of life. He actually looked like a good NFL quarterback. Yes, the defense didn't play well, but I don't care. He played well. Josh Allen looked dynamic, to be honest. Him running kind of scares me, but it is what it is. Deshaun Watson, number 8, a guy that's going to continue to lose games, but he's going to have to throw his team out of the deficits. It is what it is. I think Deshaun Watson can be better. In the first half, he's pretty He's average in the first half. He looks like Eli Manning lost out there. And then in the second half, he shows up. He starts delivering the ball, hits up Kyle Fuller, DeAndre Hopkins, and they become, fantasy relevant. But it is what it is. Anyway, number 9, Jimmy Garoppolo, rest in peace, out for the season, ACL. We'll get into more of that as I talk about the quarterback starts. Number 10, we got Aaron Rodgers, who doesn't look healthy, but he's going to continue to score fantasy points. I'm just worried that one of these weeks he's going to get hit and he's going to be done. And when he does, all of your Packers players are going to be absolutely irrelevant. The only people that will be of value is probably Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams, and that's it. Because Deshaun Kaiser, we saw him in week 1. Khalil Mack gave him the work, and I'm just a little worried. Anyway, so those are the top standout quarterbacks of the week. Let's go to running backs real quickly. Alvin Kamara, as I mentioned before, 15 receptions. This isn't half-point PPR. Imagine in full-point PPR scoring. I mean, he's outplaying any projection that anybody had. Perhaps somebody projected him to be the number 1 overall player, but to be honest, I'm sure there is. I just didn't expect it. Number 2, old man AP, Adrian Peterson. Man, did he... speaking of the Packers, right? He ran the ball like he meant it. The week prior against the Colts was not a fluke. The Colts defense is actually disgusting. Their front 7, they worked the Eagles, but we'll get into that later. Adrian Peterson came back to life, showed himself to be a fantasy relevant running back with 2 touchdowns, a bunch of yards, looked good. Carlos Hyde looked good as soon as Baker Mayfield came in the game. So hopefully that's a great sign, okay? Because that offense and that momentum, you could feel it through the TV. They were electric. They came back, they picked up the W. Carlos Hyde looked great in that offense. 23.3 points and half-point PPR with 2 touchdowns looks good. Todd Gurley, 22 points this week. Could have been more, but honestly, that's all. That's his floor at this point. If he scores more, it's because it's a shootout, right? And they need him to run the ball more. Because as soon as they got in the fourth quarter against the Chargers, the game was over. So they just pretty much killed clock as much as they possibly could. Number 5, Christian McCaffrey, a guy that is subject to Cam Newton stealing goal line touchdowns. Damn it, Cam Newton. Still top 5 in half-point PPR scoring. Number 6, Saquon Barkley stepping up, doing what he does best. This guy is an animal. He is worth that first-round pick you spent on him. He's going to continue to deliver for your team. Well done this week. Number 7, here we go. Here's some names that, Chris Carson, a guy that I thought he was done. I sacrificed him in the fantasy gauntlet video. I thought it was time to give the reins to Rashad Penny. And here comes Chris Carson with 30 rushing attempts and over 100 rushing yards. Ooh, baby. 19 points. Number 8, Isaiah Crowell. Okay. Let's get this cleared up real quick, okay? Isaiah Crowell is not a good running back. All right? But fantasy-wise, sure, he could be relevant. But when you rush for 34 yards and 2 of them happen to be for touchdowns, congratulations. You're the Javoris Allen effect. You're just a goal line working back. And Bilal Powell doubled your yardage. Moral of the story is, I don't like Isaiah Crowell. Let's move on. Number 9, Giovanni Bernard came in. Looked better than I thought he would, honestly. I thought, okay, 10 points. Let's give it to him. Done. Got the goal line work. Got that extra touchdown. Looked good in the passing game. I don't know. We'll see when Mixon comes back. But either way, Giovanni Bernard has to be a start going forward if Mixon is out. And the last person in the running back, top 10, Wendell Smallwood, a guy I mentioned in my Saturday video. If you had watched that, I mentioned his name because Corey Clement had a quadricep issue, an injury, and was honestly questionable. So I thought, and I told you guys, Wendell Smallwood should be a guy you should watch out for. Maybe go pick him up off the waivers just in case Corey Clement is not good to go. And there he was. Wendell Smallwood popped off, had himself a week. But we'll see if that can carry over into week 4. Let's talk about the wide receiver position. This week was the week of the wide receiver 2. Every number 2 wide receiver was just popping off. Number 1, Calvin Ridley with 37 points. Listen, this is an anomaly. This will never happen again. Okay, 3 touchdowns in 1 game. Come on. Let's be real. All right? But he did it. If he started on your team, congratulations. You were able to predict and you were able to win the lottery. Otherwise, I don't know who else started. Let's be real. Unless you're playing in the deepest dynasty league of all time. Number 2, another wide receiver 2, Robert Woods. Look, I thought Brandon Cooks was going to be great. Granted, Brandon Cooks had a touchdown himself, but when you can have 2 touchdowns and all the yards, Robert Woods is just an animal. Playing at home, somewhere where he's comfortable. That SC blood still runs through him. I swear the SC logo was still on the field. They couldn't get it off from the night before. Number 3, Jordy Nelson, another wide receiver 2. Holy moly. Jordy Nelson showed up. Wow, it only took him 3 weeks to be fantasy relevant. Wow, that's impressive. No, let's be real, okay? Amari Cooper disappeared, okay? And that's because of Jordy Nelson. So if you've got to, pick a beef or a bone with someone, it's Jordy Nelson's fault, people. I promise you. Or maybe it's Derek Carr. Tyler Boyd, another number 2 wide receiver, another 20 points. Albert Wilson, another, I'm going to guess a number 3 wide receiver, 22 points. Mike Williams, another number 2 wide receiver, 22 points. Jakeem Grant, another receiver on the Miami Dolphins that seems to find the end zone. Number 8, Will Fuller, another wide receiver 2. Okay, and then we finally found wide receiver 1, Michael Thomas, the best wide receiver in the NFL when it comes to fantasy. Congratulations. And Adam Thielen. Oh my goodness. Let's move on from the wide receivers because we're going to talk about them more in depth as the week goes on. But we know we all can't be here. Actually, you know what? Let's go back really quickly, okay? Just a couple thoughts just on the matter, okay? Calvin Ridley is going to be relevant in fantasy, but I don't think you should completely lose your mind over him, okay? He's going to be on the waiver list as I go on throughout this episode, but all things considered, he is not a guy you should completely break the bank for when it comes to fab. I don't think he is I understand that the Falcons are going to be, moving the ball. Matt Ryan has found his footing, but to expect this, you shouldn't expect this kind of points. But, maybe a 10-point a week kind of guy, sure. If you really need that, you can break the bank. Otherwise, be easy. Don't lose your entire fab in 1 week. Robert Woods is going to be on a roster. Jordy Nelson we'll talk about later. Tyler Boyd we'll talk about later. Albert Wilson and Jakeem Grant we'll talk about later. Mike Williams should be on a roster by now. I've already told you in the past he should be rostered. I even thought he was going to be bad this last week. I thought Keenan Allen was going to be able to produce. But guess what? Keenan Allen had his opportunities and couldn't strike. He had 3 targets in the end zone. Woo, it happens. It happens. And then Mike Williams went and picked up his catches here and there. Well, Will Fuller, man, just outperforming DeAndre Hopkins, huh? Okay, so let's talk about tight ends before we get into the waiver wire pickups. Dallas Goedert, the number 1 tight end on the week. We'll go into a little bit more, but Carson Wentz loves throwing the ball to the tight end. That's why Zach Ertz, and even when Zach Ertz was healthy and eligible to go out for a pass, Trey Burton was also relevant last season. Dallas Goedert was drafted for that reason. He's going to come in. He's going to produce. The Eagles like to use their 2 tight end sets, and he produced well. Number 2, Travis Kelce. It is what it is. Travis Kelce, people. Number 3, Kyle Rudolph. Played well, as he should. I think Kyle Rudolph can improve as the season progresses, but, 13 points is great. I'll take it, no problem. George Kittle had himself a decently good week. Kind of made up from last week. Perhaps you lost because of him last week, and you're still a little salty, but still, he had a pretty good week, all things considered. The loss of Jimmy Garoppolo is going to hurt George Kittle, though. It is going to absolutely devastate his fantasy production, unless they figure out, maybe C.J. Beathard likes the tight end position. We'll see. Rhett Ellison, the number 5. This is the backup to Evan Ingram. Evan Ingram was injured this past week. I don't know what his status is coming into this next week, but we'll see. But Rhett Ellison had himself, 3 targets, 30-some-odd yards, and a touchdown. Looked okay. No big deal. Tyler Eifert is getting more and more into this offense, getting more opportunities, found himself more opportunities this week, and looked great. I think Tyler Eifert is one of those talents, especially on a team like the Bengals who are able to move the ball finally after many years of struggling. I think if Tyler Eifert can get into a groove and Andy Dalton can continue to find him, he can be a good tight end this year moving forward. Number 7, Ricky Seals-Jones was relevant for the first quarter. After that, boom, nothing. You can blame Sam Bradford for just turning over the ball, or you can just admit that the Bears defense is nasty. Khalil Mack makes every play. Number 8, another Eagles tight end. You see these Eagles tight ends, they make plays. Zach Ertz with 9 points, almost 10. Benjamin Watson, a sneaky guy, getting around there. When you play 5 quarters practically, you're going to be fantasy relevant. And Jason Kroom, you'll never hear this name ever again, okay? Let's just leave it at that, okay? It happens. That's the tight end position, people. That's just how it works. Okay, let's go to the quarterback waiver wire targets for week 4. Number 1 is Ryan Tannehill. Now, why am I considering Ryan Tannehill? Well, as I mentioned before, the Carolina Panthers and the Washington Redskins are both on bye weeks, right? Let's say, for example, you had Jimmy Garoppolo. Maybe you have Ryan Fitzpatrick, who might get replaced. You never know. Perhaps you had Marcus Mariota or, I don't know, Cam Newton and Alex Smith. Maybe you don't have a backup. Ryan Tannehill, in my opinion, this coming week, playing against that, I mean, I don't want to say it, okay? But that New England team, we need a moment in silence real quick. That New England performance on Sunday Night Football was sad. The entire time I was thinking to myself, okay, come on, Brady, let's go. Come on, Brady, time to produce. All right, Brady, it's the second half. This is where you thrive. Okay, Brady, fire your guys up. Let's go. Put together a drive. And continuously, yeah, I don't have any words. Anyway, Ryan Tannehill gets to play the New England Patriots this week, and the Dolphins are coming out looking hot, 3-0. They want to win this division. I think Ryan Tannehill is a good quarterback waiver wire start for this week, or pickup for the rest of the season, especially if you're in a 2 QB. You better be on that ASAP. I'm assuming he's not even available. Number 2, Eli Manning versus the New Orleans Saints. I think there is a good potential that Eli Manning could have a good week this coming week. He looked good against the Houston Texans. The ability to, with Marshawn Lattimore going down, I don't know how. Was it Marshawn Lattimore? You know what? Actually, I'm probably mistaken. Scratch that. Another cornerback went down. I don't know how much of a difference that makes for that Saints defense, but that Saints defense is not what they used to be. Last season, they were way better. This coming year, they're just giving up a lot of points, especially, the 2 games we've seen within their division. Yes, the Tyler Taylor offense was not able to score, but they still put up some points. All things considered, with that kicker missing 4 field goals, if I'm not mistaken. I think Eli Manning could have a good week this week versus the New Orleans Saints. He's another waiver wire guy. This is not in any particular order. Just pick it up as you will. I doubt Andy Dalton is available in your league, but if he is against Atlanta this week, I'll take him. I will take Andy Dalton this coming week against the Atlanta defense, who lost another player for the season. They're falling apart, and they're getting in shootouts, so I like it. Andy Dalton this week. Joe Flacco, another guy who I think is, if he's still available on your waiver wire and you're struggling with an injury or you don't trust the guy that you have currently, he's another guy. As we get into the week, I think Wednesday is the quarterback rankings. You'll get a better idea, but I think these guys, as of right now, are pretty good waiver wire pickups. Number 5, no particular order, but anyway, Baker Mayfield, a guy that if you play in a 2 QB league, Superflex, consider him. If you do not, they play the Raiders this week. I don't know how much I can trust Baker, considering if you play in a 12-team league and each team has 2 quarterbacks maybe on their roster, there's going to be better options this coming week. But just consider it, maybe. Maybe you're crazy enough. Let's go to the running back waiver wire targets. If someone had dropped Chris Carson in your league, it's time, right? Giving him 30 attempts kind of gives you a notion where, or at least it's giving me an idea where this Seattle team wants to feed him the ball until the wheels fall off, right? If you're going to give a guy 30 attempts, I understand. 30 attempts, yeah, okay, he was playing well, but that is a lot on the running back's body. That is I don't even understand. But either way, Chris Carson played well this coming week against Arizona. Could have a good week. Arizona's not great against the run, especially the running back position. So I think Chris Carson could be a good waiver wire pickup. Other than him, Kieran Johnson had himself a week. I 100% doubt that he is on your waiver. But if he is, congratulations, go pick him up. Hopefully, LeGarrette Blount stops getting carries for this team. Hopefully. But Kieran Johnson broke 100 yards. First time in, 4 years for the Lions. Incredible stuff. My number 3 waiver wire pickup at the running back position, Aaron Jones. Jamal Williams looks like trash can. Ty Montgomery only comes in on 3rd downs when they're losing. Congratulations. Aaron Jones is the guy. It's over. Jamal Williams is a trash can. It's done. Finished. I'm sick and tired of him. It took me 3 weeks, and I've finally seen the light. Aaron Jones is going to be your Packers running back. But then again, what is a Packers running back? Are they going to be efficient enough? I think there's a possibility because they want to get the ball out of Aaron Rodgers' hands, keep him a little bit healthier, keep him away from contact. I think they might be able to use Aaron Jones a little bit more this coming week against the Buffalo Bills. But then again, Latavius Murray had 2 yards against the Buffalo Bills, 2 rushing yards or whatever. I think it was 1 rushing yard, to be honest, on 2 attempts. Wow, whew, that's a rough one. Anyway, Aaron Jones, another one, Wendell Smallwood. If J.J. and Darren Sproles are still banged up this coming week, Wendell Smallwood is not a bad option. Okay, so that is all considered. I mean, this all relies upon the idea that J.J. or Darren Sproles are not healthy. If those two are not healthy, or let's say, for example, Clement is not healthy, Wendell Smallwood's the next man up. He played well this past week. He can do it again this coming week. He's my number 4. And number 5, let's say, for example, this coming week, someone drops Rex Burkhead in your league. Congratulations, you should go pick him up. I don't think Rex Burkhead is a guy that you can completely write off as of right now. Sony Michel didn't look great. James White is going to be a contributor upon this team as weeks go by. But Rex Burkhead should not be slept on. I don't think it's time to completely kill him. I don't think he's as bad as some other running backs in this league. I think as this Patriots offense tries to find its footing and its steps, Rex Burkhead might be injured, but we'll see. I think he's a decent pickup if someone goes ahead and drops him. Okay, wide receivers. As we mentioned before, Calvin Ridley. Don't waste all of your fab, people. But, I mean, let's say you don't play in fab. Put in your waiver, go get him. Right? But if you play in fab, I don't know how much. If you need the wide receiver position, let's say, for example, you have Marquise Goodwin, you have Doug Baldwin. Okay? And you're like, I just got Goodwin back, but there goes Jimmy Garoppolo. And Baldwin's not back. I'm sitting on Cole Beasley at my wide receiver 3. Congratulations. Go spend. Go and spend. You need to grab this guy. Number 2, Tyler Boyd. Looked great these past 2 weeks. AJ Green got a little banged up during that game. So I think Tyler Boyd against the Atlanta Falcons this week, I kind of like it. He's a pickup for me. Jakeem Grant versus New England this week. Oh, man, this guy got some opportunities. Now, here's the thing. It's more of a Jakeem Grant versus Albert Wilson deal because both these guys have incredible speed. Who is going to be more productive? I think because Albert Wilson threw that touchdown to Jakeem Grant, kind of inflated his stats a little bit more. I think Jakeem Grant has more potential as the season progresses. He is my number 3 at the wide receiver position. Number 4, Ryan Grant. Another Grant, but this is different. This is the number 2 wide receiver on the Indianapolis Colts, a team who struggled against the Eagles this past week heavily. I think they struggled a lot. They didn't look great at all. Then again, they were playing in some weather that kind of limited their passing games. It forced a lot of bad mistakes by Andrew Luck, but it is what it is, you know. I think with T.Y. Hilton within this offense, if Jack Doyle can, sits on the sideline, whatever, Ryan Grant is the official number 2 wide receiver here. I understand that Eric Ebron probably gets more targets, but I like Ryan Grant as the season progresses. And my last guy, I 100% doubt. I mean, there's probably 90% of leagues where Jordy Nelson's not on a roster. But going into week 4, I'd consider him. I'm just saying. He had success. Maybe Derek Carr looks away from Amari Cooper again and finds Jordy Nelson this week. I think that, Jordy Nelson's a good pickup. But I put him at, this bottom end just as a caveat, just in case. Maybe one of your leagues has him open. Consider picking him up. All right, let's go to the last group of people we want to talk about. We want to talk about the tight end position for this coming week. Again, let's be honest. The only tight ends that are out this week, what? I was going to say Greg Olsen. Greg Olsen doesn't play. Congratulations, Greg Olsen. You've given me I have so many headaches. So as of right now, it's just going to be Jordan Reed, Vernon Davis out at the tight end position this coming week. I think these are my ideas. Just in case you're a Jordan Reed owner and you're struggling for a backup tight end, I don't think Tyler Eifert's available, but if he is, I like him this week a lot, and for the rest of the season, he's a guy that you should go and acquire. Ben Watson, I think I mentioned this before. When he played for the Saints, in 2016, 2015, something like that. not only was he a captain of the Saints team, excuse me, I think he was a captain, right? But then he also had like 700 receiving yards. Let me find this. I think Ben Watson's okay, right? I don't think he's like diamond in the rough status, but I think Ben Watson's a serviceable tight end that can produce, right? Like, I don't think he's going to be complete garbage can. He's not Austin Hooper. Okay, Austin Hooper, relax, okay? He's not David Njoku. But, okay, let's see this. The Saints in 2015, he had 74 receptions and 825 receiving yards and 6 touchdowns, okay? Now, this coming year, it's not bad. 12 receptions, 134 yards, not a touchdown yet, but he's getting there. 3 games, 4 receptions a game. It's not bad. It's a good opportunity, especially within an offense that scores as much as they do. I like Ben Watson. Number 3, Mark Andrews, a guy who's an extremely deep sleeper. The tight end for the Baltimore Ravens. Pick him up. He is going, I mean, Joe Flacco loves throwing to the tight end, right? They have, I think, 4 tight ends on the roster. Mark Andrews is that number 1. He's established himself over the last couple weeks. I like him going into this week. And just, stash him on your bench. Dallas Goedert, I mean, as I mentioned before, he is a great tight end. He's young, so obviously he's not going to, be given the opportunity over Zach Ertz. But I think as long as they're using these 2 tight end sets, there is a potential for him to be fantasy relevant. I don't think he's going to be, 10 points a week, but in a good matchup, I like Dallas Goedert. And the last guy I want to mention, let's say, for example, someone dropped Trey Burton. Please go and pick up Trey Burton. I know for a fact that many of you have dropped Trey Burton. I've seen the comments in the comment section. Many of you have asked me in past weeks, is it safe to drop Trey Burton for Kittle, right? And I said yes. This is the time you go back and you pick up Trey Burton before the shit hits the fan, because he is beginning to look like the Trey Burton we expected him to be before the season started. Hopefully he becomes what we expect him to be, but I like Trey Burton going forward. Anyway, thank you everybody for watching. I appreciate all your support. Hopefully you liked this video. If you did, and you haven't already subscribed, please go down and click the subscribe button. If you have any questions for this coming week, waiver wires, stuff like that. If you ask a question about, who should I start this week, I probably won't have a definitive answer to give you, considering week 4 hasn't really started. I'm pretty sure that game is still going on as we speak. The Pittsburgh and Tampa Bay game. So if you're going to, ask me a question, who should I start, this or this, just expect me not to be 100% certain on the answer. But as of right now, I would say if you have any waiver wire questions, go ahead. Thank you all for watching. And until next time, I'll see you guys.